We may be a few days away from the start of spring. Sure does look and feel like winter across central Indiana on this St. Patrick's Day.
So you likely saw a burst of snow just like this at some point during this St. Patrick's Day. And the snow and the cold temps, they're not done yet.
Boo!
Go, I can hear it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, so, we just got to hang in there. So what should we expect, first of all, if we're heading out tonight? Because a lot of people want to go out and celebrate St. Patrick's Day tonight.
Hopefully they have a big, green, puffy winter coat.
And scarves and gloves and hats.
Right. All in the shades of green because it is still cold out there. Wind chills right now in the teens. At times they've been in the single digits. Today it feels like 11 in Indianapolis right now. It feels like 10 in Kokomo, feels like 13 in Bloomington. So yes, if you are headed out this evening, make sure you bundle up. No golf today. We're at the Country Club of Indianapolis and there is a little bit of snow on some of those fairways. Temperatures right now only in the 20s. We have 23 at the airport in Indianapolis. Eagle Creek also at 23. Greenwood 23. Avon coming in with clouds and 22 degrees. We've at times had these bursts of snow. We had some late last night, early this morning. Not quite as many on radar right now, but if you're going to be out and about tonight, still may run into a few flurries from time to time. And then we turn our attention to what you see out west, and unfortunately it is more blue. This is snow from Minneapolis south through Kansas City. This is the weather system that will get here after midnight and have an impact on that Wednesday morning drive. Snow showers and slick roads early tomorrow morning.
All right, thanks, Angela. And we have a lot more weather coverage for you right now if you head on over to WTHR Plus.
That's where you can check out our live Doppler radar, extended forecast, and more. Just download our TV app. It's free.
Creating 100,000 new jobs here in Indiana.
That's the intention of a new incentive Governor Braun announced today. 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker explains.
Well, this investment will be in industries that deal with life sciences. Think animal, plant, and human health. Industries that are already a substantial part of Indiana's economy. This investment will build on that. $1 billion in tax credits. That's what the Indiana Economic Development Corporation is offering life science companies that bring high-paying jobs to Indiana over the next decade.
These are tools we've already got. They're going to be through performance-based incentives, but this is the first time we're designating it towards a particular part of our economy.
According to Indiana's Secretary of Commerce, David Adams, the metrics tied to whether a company receives the tax credits will be the same metrics the state uses now. The jobs created will need to pay 125% above a county's average wage.
As the new businesses come in or businesses expand here, we're going to hold that as a guideline and make sure they're performing against that in terms of the jobs that they're creating.
The initiative announced by the governor Tuesday is tied to an executive order he signed last year, calling on Indiana's different regions to come up with formal plans on how they would grow jobs that fit within their regional economies. The first to step forward was the Central Indiana Regional Development Authority, chaired by Fisher's Mayor Scott Fadness.
Week after week, you're going to hear a steady drumbeat of new and exciting announcements that affirm that Central Indiana truly is the epicenter for life sciences here in Indiana and across the world.
Governor Braun said for this kind of investment to be successful, other things also need to be in place, like affordable housing, childcare, and an educational system that supports workforce development and more STEM degrees. And today's announcement was framed as Indiana being proactive, planting a flag in the ground, so to speak, to let companies and talent know that Indiana is committed to the life sciences sector and growing it here in the state. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And the $1 billion in tax credits that could be offered represent about a third of the credits available to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
So this new tax credit program will be under the control of the Central Indiana Regional Development Authority, or CIRDA for short. CIRDA created by state lawmakers back in 2020. And the job of CIRDA is to coordinate economic development between 30 communities around Central Indiana. You're looking at this map here, everywhere from Tipton to Bargersville and Greencastle and Greenfield, along with the 10 counties that they're located in. Now, according to the CIRDA website, it covers more than 4,000 square miles with more than 2 million residents and a regional economy of almost $200 billion.
Well, tonight, the family of a man who grew up in Mooresville is traveling to Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer of his remains tomorrow. 38-year-old Captain Seth Koval was one of 6 airmen killed last week in a refueling plane crash in Iraq. He was a member of the Ohio Air National Guard since 2017, but he enlisted with the 122nd Fighter Wing in Fort Wayne, serving 11 years in Indiana. We received a statement from the 122nd today saying, quote, "The loss of any of our fellow service members is tragic. Our sincere condolences go out to Captain Seth R. Koval's family, friends, and fellow airmen." It went on to say, quote, "As Hoosiers, Indiana National Guard soldiers and airmen are also deeply saddened by his loss, and his death affects us all."
Happening now in the courthouse. A former stagehand at the Indiana Convention Center is now on trial. He's accused in the murder of another man who worked there as well.
Rich Nye had his camera in the courtroom as the jury watched the attack on video, and the defense claimed this was self-defense.
34-year-old Brian Fulton is charged with the murder of 58-year-old Al Gosnell. The attack happened inside the Indiana Convention Center on September 11, 2024, and was captured by security cameras. You can see Gosnell in this video walk out of the sound and lighting office on the second floor. That's Fulton wearing the backpack and following Gosnell. When they turned left down the hallway, the attack began.
The defendant took a box cutter and stabbed the victim multiple times, slashed his throat, and then took a rope and strangled him to death.
The jury could see almost all of the incident down in the corner of the screen. We are just showing one screenshot of the incident, which went on for about 2 minutes.
You're going to hear from Mr. Fulton, and you're going to hear his testimony about what started that altercation. And he's going to tell you that he was in fear for his life and he acted in self-defense.
Convention Center employees saw Fulton walking away from the scene and radioed security, who called police. Several workers followed Fulton at a safe distance down the escalator and out of the convention center.
There were a few times that he would turn around and watch us walking backwards, and I do remember very clearly, at least at one point, him saying the words, "He deserved it."
Security followed Fulton until Metro Police arrived and arrested him just around the corner in front of the Greyhound bus station. His attorneys made it clear that Fulton will testify in his own defense. In Indianapolis, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Al Gosnell was a sound and light technician at the Indiana Convention Center. He grew up in Elwood and lived in LaPel at the time of his death.
Tonight, one person is in critical condition, another hurt after a shooting at an apartment complex parking lot on the northeast side of Indianapolis. It went down around 1:15 this morning near 46 and Keystone. First responders took a man that they found at the scene to the hospital and have yet to provide an update on his condition. Detectives say the person in critical condition took themselves to the hospital. At last check, Metro Police have yet to identify a suspect or make any arrests in the case. Also tonight, from the Marion County coroner working to identify now a 21-year-old man who died in a shooting. Someone shot and killed Caleb Evans this past Friday night. The shooting happened near East 32nd Street and North College Avenue. That's near the north side of Indianapolis. Metro Police say they found another person shot as well, but they don't have an update on that person's condition. Officers say they also found 10 people fighting in the street when they arrived on the scene there. So far, no other information about a possible suspect from police.
A sting operation targeting child sex offenders led to 11 arrests here in central Indiana. Men who investigators say groomed local children online, then traveled to meet them in person. More than 75 officers from 21 different agencies led the 3-day operation last week in Shelbyville. They focused on people trolling the internet with the goal of victimizing children. In one case, investigators say they rescued an infant from sexual abuse. The Shelby County prosecutor says although they took 11 potential predators off the streets, there are more preying on kids right now, so parents need to be the first line of defense.
Make it a point to check your child's communication online. It's okay to trust, but verify, make sure, because most parents believe that their child would never get involved in this stuff, and some of these people are really smooth talkers. They're really good. that may save your child's life.
Some of the 11 arrested already had criminal records for child sex crimes. One was an undocumented immigrant, another was an attorney.
We now have an update for you tonight on the efforts to improve the South Split through downtown Indianapolis. Neighborhood planners say that they now have identified some possible solutions. Ashton Hackman takes us through the concepts that are now out there that call for a major revitalization on the near southeast side.
A bold vision for Indy's South Split, sunken interstates, and reconnected neighborhoods. These are some of the concepts just released as part of the Southeast Gateway Planning Study. The Rethink Coalition is the group behind it. They're a community-based organization working to get Interstate 65 and 70 constructed differently. They've been drafting the federally funded study for more than a year. This is what the neighborhoods on the near southeast side used to look like in the 1950s before the interstates, after those neighborhoods became disconnected. The study found a revisioned South Split could free up to 8 acres of developable land. They say that's space for new homes and businesses and reconnecting Fletcher Place with Fountain Square. Apart from regaining back a lot of this land that's been taken up by an interstate, neighbors say that it's about connectivity, increasing access between Fletcher Place and Fountain Square.
I think some of these concepts are really good, bold visions for saying, well, let's really make Indianapolis a walkable city, a place where people will want to live and move to and stay for the long term.
But this report is just the beginning. Now it's up to INDOT to decide whether to turn this vision into a real project, all while balancing plans for interstate improvements, a process that could take years before any construction begins.
Fountain Square used to be much larger before the expressway came in. So in a lot of ways, this is actually reclaiming land that has been used for an expressway back to the neighborhood, back to the community.
A community watching closely as the future of the South Split takes shape. In Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.